That's why last night we were launching this plan in Southwark, the first of 32 local conversations in all the boroughs across London, because that's exactly what we want to do. It starts with local officers who know their patch, who know the local community, who understand the local priorities and work with them to tackle them. It might be antisocial behaviour, it might be crime. So it all starts from there. But then it's about how the whole Met leans in behind that to give the best service to the people of Southwark, as we were talking about last night. As part of this, one of the strands of our plan is called fixing foundations, getting all the basic engineering in terms of training and equipment for officers right. As a part of that, we're looking again at our estate strategy. I'm concerned that some of our officers, particularly our community officers, aren't within walking distance of their patch. That's not acceptable, so that's why we're looking at that. So it all comes back to that cornerstone of the community policing team, the dedicated ward officers, the PCSOs, we're increasing them by 500 this year. That team, the relationship with local community, knowing what the big issues are, fixing them and calling in the specialists behind them when they need it. So we understand that people are concerned about drug dealing outside the local shops, or we understand that people are worried about a spate of criminal damage or some graffiti, or people are concerned about some gang violence they think is escalating in the area. So some of that intelligence and some of that picture will only come from the relationship with local people. And if we're working together, communities will often have part of the solution with us. So us, communities, other partners like local authorities who have a role to play in this as well. So building it from the bottom up. None of this takes away the need for our specialist teams, the amazing work our teams do against organised crime and drugs and public protection, dealing with serious offenders in domestic violence and rape. But it all needs to revolve around the local, because that's how we'll rebuild trust in London's policing. Even though the demand has gone up as people have been more confident to report these sort of crimes, rape and domestic abuse, so we're going to put up to 500 extra people in there, a mixture of police officers and police staff over the next year or so. And we're going to change the way we operate as well. Besides increasing our detection, solving more cases, and we've already sort of solved over 500 more cases in the last year than we had the previous year, we're also launching today a new initiative going after the most dangerous 100. So using all the data, in the last year there were 35,000, largely men, who allegations were made against them about domestic violence, rape, sexual abuse, etc. Amongst them, identifying the most dangerous 100 and going after them. Because if we go after them proactively, build a case against them, get them off the streets, that protects women and children in London. So that's an indicator of sort of being more innovative, more front-footed as we reform how we police London. So those cases are going forward. I say we're sacking more officers, we're suspending more officers than ever before. It's a fairly gruesome thing to talk about as Commissioner, but I've got a minority of my people I need to sort out, and we're doing that as rapidly and as quickly as we can do. I'm still hoping that the Secretary is going to be changing the regulations to make it easier for us to get through this. With my top team, we can organise the Met better, we can build stronger values, but success will only come from the relationship with the public, and that's why our launch is focused on these 32 conversations in boroughs. So some departments have got all the experience and some have got very little. So we're doing some posting decisions, some moving people around the Met to get the right mix, because these are really serious, complex cases, and it's great to have new officers in there, but you also need some sort of more experienced hands that they can learn from. So we're doing an awful lot, putting more officers in, better training, to be able to solve more cases. The fact we've solved over 500 more cases this year than last year is a sign of progress. The fact that we've got rid of our backlog of child sexual abuse imagery referrals from the National Crime Agency is a sign of the progress. And the fact we're going to go after these most dangerous offenders is a real commitment to London, particularly to women and children, that we're going to go after the people who pose the most threat to you. So we're somewhere high in the 90% in terms of that. So that's part of what's happening. Burglary rates are down. I think we're solving more burglaries. We're certainly attending every call. That's been a big step, and that's been a big commitment. With all the resource pressures we're seeing at the moment across the country, we're seeing increased numbers of 999 non-emergency calls for policing. So we're trying to manage a greater workload, but within that, a burglary is so intrusive to any of us into our home that we're determined to try and attend those calls. But on the mental health issue, I should reassure Londoners, if somebody is at danger, if someone's at physical risk, there's always a role for police officers to turn up and deal with that immediate threat of violence. So we're not going to back away from that. If the cause of that violence, though, is someone in a mental health crisis, what we need to be able to do, which is in line with sort of national policy and NHS policy, is hand over that individual who's in crisis to the NHS as quickly as possible, because we're not the right people. So London's going to be reassured. If they're at danger, if they're at risk, we'll of course turn out and do what you expect the police to do.